We all want to communicate effectively with our families and work colleagues or customers, but it's not as easy as it appears. Former White House communications director under President Obama and press secretary for President Biden, Jen Psaki, observed that the skills necessary for her to interact successfully with the press, members of Congress, even presidents of the United States, aren't all that different from what we can all do in our living rooms and lives. Jen offers a variety of techniques that she used in interactions from her many White House years and presents them in her new book out today. Say More, Lessons from Work, the White House, and the World. And Jen Psaki joins me now. Jen, appreciate your time. It's so kind of you.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, well, so the book is filled with inside moments, historic moments without question. And yet, to be honest, I read it from cover to cover. It seems as though beyond being a memoir, this is really a list of suggestions for people so that whether we are sitting across from the President of the United States or the teacher in a parent-teacher conference, the skills are the same.
That's right. I've done both of those things. And this is really a book that I wish I had when I was in my 20s. I hope people buy it for their kids for Mother's Day. I hope they buy it for their mothers, of course. And it really has a lot of lessons I've learned over the course of 20 years as a communicator. Some of them I learned from my kids, as you said. Some of them I learned from my husband. Some of them I learned from preparing the President of the United States, 2 different presidents, to speak publicly. And some of the things might surprise people because listening is part of communicating. Making mistakes and learning from them is a part of communicating, as is being able to give feedback to different kinds of people. And I talk about all of that in my book.
I was especially excited. I've got my doctorate in communication, have taught it for years. But when I read the title, Say More, I went, oh my goodness, is she saying more words are the better? You make it very clear that is not the point.
That's right. And I think the key here, and you have obviously been a broadcaster for some time, it's not about saying more words or saying it louder. It's about speaking with impact. And that means sometimes finding a way to engage or build a bridge with someone who you may disagree with. Maybe it's on a political issue and maybe it's not. And that's part of engagement. Part of effectively communicating is engaging, getting people to crack the door open because they want to hear more from you.
I'm going to bring you to Chicago with this question because you note among your advice that many times...
I love Chicago, first of all.
Exactly. So here's a memory for you, that sometimes things run counter to what we expect. You tell us we need to plan. And what I have in mind is, had you followed your own advice, when you were sitting at a state dinner next to Chicago's Chance the Rapper, life would have been different. Oh, my goodness.
That's right. Chance the Rapper, beloved Chicagoan, as is his family. I was sitting next to him at a dinner, a state dinner, when I was working for another Chicagoan, President Obama. He was one of his favorite artists at the time. I had a under 1-year-old daughter. My mother was coming with me to the state dinner. And what I learned from this is even 15 minutes of preparation can help you avoid awkward moments, because I sat down with him. He was completely lovely and gracious. I had no idea who he was. For whatever reason, I was a little out of pop culture connection at that point in time. And I basically said to him, we were talking about what we do. And he said, I spend a lot of time in the studio. And I thought to myself, is he an artist, a sculptor? How interesting. And of course, he's a tremendous musical artist. He's now on The Voice. He's very successful and an amazing Chicagoan. And if I'd just done a little Googling beforehand, I would have known.
So you tell us to do that. I'm curious to know what your reaction is to the strategy of pressing. Your Kristen Welker colleague does that. She just did it, of course, with Governor Kristi
Tim
Noem.
Scott.
Yes, and Tim Scott and George Stephanopoulos does. It's this notion of keep repeating a question until you get the answer, as opposed to the answer they want to give. How do you suggest that for us in our interactions, maybe with a work colleague?
I think that's incredibly important. And I would say for both of them, they do it with tact and they do it with grace and they do it with respect. And some of it is tone. That is an effective form of communications. Now, when you're interviewing someone on camera, that is a little different from the tone that you might take in a work meeting. I think we can state that out loud. But it is important, if you're seeking clarity, if you're not getting the information you need, to continue to ask and press. It's also true when you make a mistake, and I talk about this in my book, it's not about hiding or saying nothing. It's about communicating more to work through it. And sometimes acknowledging you made a mistake, acknowledging it to the people that you impacted, is part of effective communication as well.
Out of curiosity, look, you've changed sides now, right? From being the person behind the podium, answer questions from, say, Peter Doocy of Fox, who you write about in the book, kind of a famous...
Say Peter, yes.
Yeah, famous relationship there. But now that you're on the other side, asking the questions as a TV host, what insight do you have, even for yourself, that says, yeah, you know, I'm glad I did that because now I'm on this side of the table?
I look so small on that photo. I'm 5'3". One of the things that I hope I take to the role I have now is reminding people that sometimes politicians, elected officials are caricatured. There's much more to them than you necessarily see. And I try to go on the road with elected officials and politicians and public figures to remind people of that. I also have 20 years of insight into how government works. So I bring that to the conversations as often as I can as well.
Just briefly, there are some politicians who'd say, never apologize, never admit fault. But in the book, you actually say, honesty and humility are not a bad thing.
I think it's a huge thing, an important thing, and credibility is what you have as a human being, as a member of your family, and certainly as a public communicator. I've made lots of mistakes. When you're a spokesperson, they're public. And I've always found that acknowledging and fessing up to the mistakes as often as you can is a way to maintain that credibility.
Well, congratulations on the book. You can check out Say More out today wherever books are sold. Thanks for spending opening day with us. For more on Jen Psaki's event at Illinois Tech, Saturday, May 18th, visit chicagohumanities.org. And you can check out WGN's Political Report every Sunday at 9 a.m. There's a plug for my show. We'll be right back.